Hey, welcome back to the Midday Q&A. I'm your host, the Duckman. We're back today with Skeeter the Duck. Don't forget, it is Skeeter the Duck's birthday on March 17th. I don't know if you're seeing this on or after, but we're still collecting birthday presents for the little girl, and we're going to continue to make videos about them as they continue to come in. It's still hard to believe that this little girl's been with me for 17 years. Right, Skeeter? Yes. We're going to talk about some parts on Eleanor today and a few other questions. As always, Midday Q&A is the place where I answer the questions that people have been asking. So if you got anything you want to know, ask it. I just might feature it in a video. Thanks very much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, plug that dingle belly, and we'll be right back after the intro. Skeeter really does like that little basket that she's sitting in there. She's been in that thing pretty much all last night. She didn't want to come out of it. I guess because it's just the right size. It holds her just right. So, yeah. Thank you very much, Jody, once again. One of Skeeter's birthday presents. That was shipped into her for her birthday because she turned 17 this weekend. Yeah, you got a little crust on your face. Look at you. You got a fresh bath yesterday and you're already dirty. Children. Right, Skeeter? Yeah, you be a good girl? Sitting on Daddy's dirty car. Man, it's amazing what the weather does to this thing. Now, it's going to need a good wash. That'll be for another video. I'll get in my bikini. Well, you remember yesterday we went ahead and we got Eleanor's tins all nicely primed up. And I gotta admit, they turned out pretty good. We got a nice coating on here. These things need a good sanding. There's a couple spots where the primer leaves that dusty sort of, it's not really a residue. It's just, it's not flat. So I'm gonna just I'm gonna wet sand this a little bit. It's not gonna take much, just knock down the high spots. These things are ready for paint at this point, except for a little fill that I'd like to add. The number 4 cylinder is one of the ones that you see, so there's a couple little dings right here, so I'll probably put a little bit of putty in there, and then a little bit more primer over it, very light sand, not much to it. And the number 2 cylinder is what you see on this side, and there's a whole lot of wrinkling through here, and that's kind of fugly, so I'm going to try to cover that up a bit too. But that's minor detail stuff that I'm not even going to bother showing on a video. The last thing we got over here is the breastplate tin, which you can see right here. There's a whole lot of waviness in this metal, and it was pretty wobbly anyway. But what I'll do is I'll put a light skim across this here, very light sand, and be done with it. There's a little bit of rust pitting also, that's kind of obvious. If I choose to put a shiny paint on this ever, it's gonna really need to be smoothed out a lot. But well, I'm just gonna make it better than what you see. I don't need to go overboard on this. This is engine compartment stuff, and a lot of it's just gonna get dirty anyway, and the dirt hides dents. That's one of the best ways to put it. One of the next questions we've got, and it just continues to come up, what color am I going to paint these tins? And you see the blue here on my Kawasaki. I actually have that blue paint, and a lot of the blue that's already on Eleanor is the same color as that. On the master cylinder, for example, some of the rear suspension components, there's a few things that I have painted that color blue. And a consideration was also making the engine the same color as that. Now, I don't know if I want to. One of the reasons is because it's really hard to make that paint uniform. You have to spray down your metallic glitter coat first, and then you have to cover it with the blue. And if you spray a little too much in one spot, it ends up kind of like a purple. And if you spray a little too light in another spot, it ends up kind of green. And it's really difficult to see exactly what color it is until it completely dries. So sometimes if you spray a little heavy in one spot, a little thin in one spot, the color might look uniform, but when it dries, it's not. So I don't know that I want to spray anything that's going to be that large of a surface where you'll be able to see the differences in the paint, because once again, painting is not my forte, and that's why Eleanor is going off to Earl to be painted. I'm not even going to get involved in that. That's just too much for me. It's beyond what I can do. I know what my limits are, and painting is not something I have the skill set for. So I'm not doing paint. But here on the tins, I don't mind touching them up with something, and I'm thinking that they still might be blue. They still might also get that satin black that I had mentioned before. And somebody else had shot out, actually a couple somebodies, had suggested gunmetal gray. And gunmetal gray is kind of a nice neutral color. It's not black, it's not white. It falls somewhere in between, closer to black, which means if it gets some dirt on it, it's not going to be so incredibly filthy. So gunmetal gray is something I'm also considering. And it's relatively easy to pick up from just local store. Pick up some just oil-based enamel paint, nothing too fancy. If I scratch it or mark it up, it's easy to recover, recoat, fix. Not a big deal. But I don't know yet. And I'm kind of on the fence, but whatever the next tech video is, it's probably going to be me painting these things. I still need to get some primer on this one. This is the one that I missed. And one of the subjects that was in the last couple of videos was this greening that you're seeing, and most of the green has actually been, scrubbied off. It's really hard to see, but there's still kind of like this gold haze. It's like a greenish gold. Diamond green, which is actually Eleanor's color originally, was almost exactly like this. And it's just hard to believe that that's what color this is turned from the phosphoric acid sitting on the bare metal. Well, anyway, I didn't seem to have any problems with the primer wanting to come off, bubbling or peeling or any crazy nonsense of painting over this. So it may not be an issue, but it's still quite a debate as to what has caused this to happen versus getting, this color metal. You actually get that difference in color. Now, this is something else that I noticed, that this is a whole lot more gold on the underside than it is on the top side. Most of what's on the top side actually came off with the wire brush very easily. Somebody had suggested, a lot of somebodies, once again, have suggested there might have been some copper somewhere in the mix. But if there was some copper somewhere in what I've done, then all the pieces should have turned out green. And when I brushed them the second day, a second time, it should have been green then also. Now, looking at this piece here, this was facing down after I applied the acid on it. Somebody said, well, maybe it had something to do with UV light. Now, that was an interesting theory, and not one that I thought of before. But if this was facing down, then naturally no light would have gotten to this side. So that, again, kind of makes sense. There's a possibility that could be. However, the top side of it was seeing some light. The sun was kind of going down when I started to put that acid on. So it did get a little bit of light, but not a whole lot. But underneath it got, only from the time of the application, then placed it face down, and that was the end of that. So I don't know, if you still have a suggestion as to why my tins turned green after the phosphoric acid soaked on them, go ahead and post them down in the comments. I mean, I'm still looking for answers, if anybody can come up with something. Now, I do know that iron phosphate does have kind of a yellowish color, so it's not much of a surprise for it to have done what you see here. But once again, this is green. It's not just this yellowy kind of gold. There's a green that's coming through. And I'd show you other pieces, but there's no other pieces at this time. And I'm going to do a little science experiment somewhere in the very near future, where I'm going to take a bare piece of metal, and I'm going to coat one side of it with phosphoric acid during the daytime, let it sit out during the day, coat the other side of it just before sundown, let it sit through the night, and come out and check them in the next morning and see what happens. And I'm going to use a few different pieces of steel. I use a piece of Volkswagen steel, I use a piece of steel that's from a filing cabinet, I'll just use some junk that's laying around in the shop. And we'll do a little comparison. I mean, I'm quite curious. So let's just see what happens. All right. No, I have not painted the shroud yet. The shroud is actually sitting right down here on the ground. I'm going to rough it up with a Scotch-Brite and then throw a coat of primer on it, just the same. I haven't bothered with that yet because I was very limited for space. So at the time, I just was not ready to start putting the primer on it yet. There was nowhere to hang it up. I actually had barely enough space just to hang those pieces up. So, well, anyway, like I said, did the best I could with what I had. So I'm going to come back to that side later. Well, I got asked recently, what kind of turn signals am I going to put on Eleanor? There's obviously no holes in the tops of the fenders. Exactly what am I going to do with this thing? Well, I was digging through my stuff just the other day, and I discovered I still had at least one of the titty turn signals that come off of the 1956 Oval. This is one of the original taillights. I think these might even be just 1 year only. I'm not really for certain, so don't hold me to it. But being that this car is a 56, and the fact that I'd like to keep it looking like it was made in 1956, we're probably going to put the original titty turn signal right back on there the way it belongs. Now, I'm kind of surprised that I have the one. I really wasn't expecting that. The fenders that were originally on this car, I sold them off and sent them away, and I thought this was attached to both of the fenders. So there's a possibility it may have gone out with only one. I don't think I have a second one. I really don't think that I do. But this was just laying in a box full of miscellaneous Eleanor parts when I first got the car and started pulling things off of it. So there was a whole bunch of nuts and bolts and stuff in there, and this was laying in a box with it. So that was kind of a surprise to see that. But it'd be nice if I could restore the one. I'll put one original piece back on the car and just put a repro on the other side. But yeah, anyway, that's the kind of turn signals we got. Now on the rear, you know, we're going to put the original 1956 snowflake taillights on there just the same. And then I'll doll them up a little bit with some additional lighting because they're kind of small. I mean, geez, the light area is about that big. I mean, it's tiny. It's teeny tiny, and I'd like to have a little more visibility. I think I'll probably put LEDs in them also to make them super bright. Bright is a good thing. You want to get people's attention when they're behind you. When you step on the brakes, they're not looking at your damn lights anyway. And just like every other time, I damn near get rear-ended because everybody around here drives like idiots. But I'd rather use a proper LED sheet, a panel. Nice! I leave my turn signal on the left lane, getting ready to make that left, and everybody got to cram right up my ass behind me. It makes no sense, but that's just what they do. And then they beep at me like it's my fault. Fuck you. Unbelievable. Anyways, titty turn signal, 1956 old. Well, there she is, Skeeter the Duck and I, right, Skeeter? My little girl right here. Yep, 17 years old this Sunday. When you're watching this video, once again, she might already be 17. Hell, you might even be watching this video on her birthday. But this little girl right here, yes, you, your daddy's girl, is a very special little girl. And if you'd like to go ahead and send her a gift, hit up duckshit.net. You'll find my mailing address on there and send something over for the girl. Whatever it is, we're going to feature it on video, and we're really going to appreciate it, especially this one, right? Yeah. She loves this little bed that Jody gave her, and she kind of pushed her blanket over the edge of it. But it's a really nice bed, like made from rope. It's weird. It's just like a wound rope basket, if you will. And it's soft, it's comfortable, and hell, she spent the whole evening in it last night and didn't even try to get out of it, which means, you know, clearly she liked it, right? You like your basket? You do. I gotta make you some dinner. I'm gonna make you some dinner, yes I am. You want some steak and potatoes? Now, you'll eat anything I give you. I'll make you some chicken. You want some chicken? You love chicken. Yes, you do. As always, like, comment, subscribe, plug that dingle belly down our next subscribe button, and we get updates every time I upload a new video. And don't forget to check out duckshit.net. That is going to be my future website where it's going to give you links to everything that I do, all my social media. It's also going to have a whole bunch of links to fresh videos, featured videos, advertisements for people that want me to run their videos. It'll have links to my Instagram, my Facebook. Geez, just about anything that I do is going to be found there. So hit up duckshit.net. Really do appreciate you guys. Thank you very much. And we'll be back, hopefully tomorrow, with the update on the Mississippi Volkswagen car show. That's right. You heard that here. Right, Skeeter? You want to go to car show tomorrow? Go see some people? Maybe they'll recognize you. Want to do it? Huh? Want it? Yeah? She wants it. Thanks for watching.